Hi, welcome to this video on how to install single node Hadoop cluster on Ubuntu. My name is Shobhan Challa. I am a Hadoop consultant and trainer. So in this tutorial we are going to take Hadoop Tarball version 1.1 and we are going to configure each step manually on a 60-bit Ubuntu. So let's see what are the minimum requirements that are required to get this started. The first thing is you need to download Ubuntu. I have downloaded 14.4. You can download any other older version if required, but that should be a 64-bit version, and you need to install that on a VirtualBox software or a VMware free player. And the second thing is you need to download Hadoop 1.x series. So here I have downloaded Hadoop 1.1-bin.tar. And the third requirement is your base machine should be either Windows or Mac OS with at least 8 GB RAM and dual core with support of 64-bit and virtualization enabled in the BIOS. And I also expect you to have some basic knowledge of Linux commands. So what are the steps we are going to follow to install and enable Hadoop cluster on Ubuntu? So we are going to install Java and open SSH server, which is a prerequisite for Hadoop software. Then we are going to add a group and a user for Hadoop. In the step 3 we are going to set up passwordless SSH. We'll talk about why we need passwordless SSH in a minute. In the step 4 we are going to generate the public and private RSA keys. In the step 5 we are going to download and extract the Hadoop Tarball, the same version which we have looked in the previous slide, 1.2.1. And step 6 we are going to configure the most common shell variables in the bash RC. In step 8 we are going to configure Hadoop. We are going to modify a few of the configuration files, and we are going to go with minimal configuration. And step 9 we are going to see how you can start the Hadoop cluster and the various daemons that are part of it. And step 10 we are going to execute the basic Hadoop shell commands to make sure that everything is up and running and working as expected. And the step 11 we are going to see how we are going to stop the Hadoop cluster. So let's get started. So here, as you can see, I have Ubuntu 14.4, which is a 64-bit version. And here I've logged in as one of the users. So I'm going to show you how to create a user. So as we have seen in the document, the first step is to install Java. I'm going to do sudo, or even you can do su-root, login as root, then see apt-get install openjdk-6-jdk. So this is going to say whether do you want to install the Java. So it's going to download the Java, which is the primary requisite for executing Hadoop. Then once the Java is installed, we also need to install OpenSSH server. So OpenSSH server is a software which will provide secure shell for logging in between different hosts. So depending on your internet speed, it's going to take some time because this is going to be a download of 59 MB or so. So you can also execute apt-get without logging in as root. You can also do sudo apt-get install openjdk-6-jdk if you have the sudo permissions. So as you can see, all the required JRE and the dependent libraries are being downloaded. Okay, so all the required downloads are complete, and the required packages are being unpacked by apt-get and installing all the Debian packages. Okay, so looks like everything went through. Let's quickly go back and check the Java version that is installed. Okay, so we have OpenJDK 64-bit 160_32. Okay, so the second step is we need to install OpenSSH server. Apt-get install OpenSSH server. So say yes. It's going to download OpenSSH server and install that. So looks like everything went through. Some default RSA keys and DSA keys have been generated. Let's check if we have the SSH commands. Yes, OpenSSH has been successfully installed. And if you also want to create MapReduce programs in Python or Perl, just make sure if your Python is installed or Perl is installed, else you can execute apt-get install Python, or you can say apt-get install Perl, and it will follow the same process. It will download those packages, install the Debian packages. So we have completed the step 1. In the second step, we are going to add a group, and then we are going to create a user so that we can use that particular user for all our Hadoop operations, for starting, stopping, everything. So the first step is I'm logged in as root, so I don't need to do sudo. I can say add group Hadoop. Okay, so it says Hadoop group already exists, right? So I don't need to create that user. I'm going to go back and create a user now. I'm going to say user add -m -g, which is the group -s bin bash and Hadoop. So here we are telling this command to create /home/Hadoop and assign this user of Hadoop to the group Hadoop using -g, and by default the shell is going to be bin bash for this user. So just make sure that this user is created, type ID Hadoop. So it says the user ID is Hadoop and the group ID is 1000 and part of this Hadoop group. So change the password for this Hadoop user. I'm going to give password. So far so good. I've logged out as root user, logging in as Hadoop user. Okay, so I'm successfully logged in as into home Hadoop, and my shell is bin bash. That's great. So the step, we have completed step 3. Let's move on to step 4. So step 4, we said we want to download the Hadoop tarball itself. So I can download it using wget or curl, right? So it would be curl, and I'll use wget http archive.apache.org dist hadoop core hadoop 121 hadoop 1.2.1.tar.gz. Right, so this is going to download that particular copy. So let me cancel this because I've already downloaded this particular topper here. Alright, so you can see the size of this tarball is 61 MB. So now the next step is we need to extract this using tar. You can say tar-xvf and Hadoop. Okay, so tarball is extracted successfully. What you can do is, for sake of simplicity, you can create a symlink to this tarball, right? So let's say tomorrow you want to download and install Hadoop 2.0, right? You can just remove the symlink and recreate the symlink to the new tarball. That's it. Link -s Hadoop 121. Okay. Okay. I've created it in a wrong way. Right. So now my symlink is pointing to the actual tarball. I can just do cd Hadoop. So for time, let's get out of this particular directory. So we have successfully completed step 4. So if you have downloaded this Hadoop tarball as a different user, so first step, what you need to do is you need to change ownership to the actual Hadoop user, right? So I had changed permission or changed group to my tarball to Hadoop. So that's why I didn't execute that step. Otherwise, before doing a tar-xvf, you have to do change ownership sudo change ownership -r Hadoop : and you need to give the actual tarball name. That's it. So let's move on to step number 5. We need to generate some RSA keys as this Hadoop user. I'm going to call SSH key generator SSH-keygen -t RSA -P double quotes. So it's going to ask the file name. So by default it would be id_RSA plus enter, accept the default one. So you can see these files that have been created under .ssh. So you can see there's id_RSA and id_RSA.pub. So we need to move this public file to an authorized key file. We are going to say cat ssh id.pub. So we are going to append it just in case if there are any existing keys in the authorized keys file, we don't want to overwrite them by mistake. Or if you're absolutely sure that there's no authorized file, you can just give an angle bracket. That should do. Authorized keys. So let's do ls. Okay, so now we have 3 files. It looks good. Let's test the connection or the passwordless SSH access. Let's do SSH localhost. So the first time it's going to say, it's going to ask for the password. Okay. Okay, so looks like there is some minor issue here. Okay, so let me regenerate the file once again. I'm going to accept it, overwrite, yes. So it has created the fingerprint ID. So let's move this again to authorized keys. Cat. So let's write it once. Let's test the connection now. Okay. Let me quickly check the issue here so that we can correct it. Okay, so let me remove this location and then try once again. SSH keygen. That is correct. And I'm going to again call the cat id rsa pub authorized keys. Okay. So let me go and see here. Cat known hosts. Okay, this looks fine. rsa.pub Hadoop at Ubuntu. Okay. Okay. So okay, got it. Okay. su-hadoop. Okay. Let's create it once again. Then let's do SSH Ubuntu. Okay, let's try this. SSH localhost. Okay, so looks like my hostname is Ubuntu and been trying to log in SSH Hadoop at Ubuntu. Okay, so there is some minor mistake here, so I think I need to restart this server just to make sure everything is fine here. su-hadoop password. Okay, so we'll ignore this for the time being and we'll move ahead with the other setup. So let's move to step 6 and let's configure some of the paths. So we are going to open a bash rc. So here below the existing lines, I'm going to add export Hadoop home, which is in home Hadoop. So just add variables for Hadoop setup. And we are going to export Java home, which is in userlib jvm java -6 -openjdk i386. So let's quickly check that. Userlib jvm java 6 openjdk. Okay, AMD 64. So we are done with the bash rc configuration. Let's execute that. We'll call source and we'll say java -version, right? So we are going to execute that, which is fine. So our setup looks good. Let's cd to the Hadoop directory, where the directory where we have extracted all our Hadoop tarball. Then let's move into cd conf. So the first file to modify here is Hadoop env.sh. So this is the file which is executed by all the daemons. Let's also open the bash rc, shift G, just paste the Java home here, and you don't need to change any of the other variables here unless you want to change the minimum and maximum opts or the memory sizes. Default heap size, if you want to change it, you can change it. So let's configure some of the main files here, which are core site.xml, and the second one is hdfs site.xml, and the third one is mapred site.xml. I'm going to open this. Add a property here. Add a name which is fs.default.name, and add a value and say hdfs :/localhost 8020. Let's copy this property once more. And add a name, dfs.permissions, and set the value as false. So our basic configuration of core site.xml looks good. Oops. Okay, so mistakenly I have modified hdfs site.xml. So let me change this. So instead of fs default, let me put dfs replication, which is going to be 1 by default, because we are setting everything in single node. So hdfs site is done. Let's open core site.xml. So add a property here and a name, and we can put fs.default.name, and let's put a value, hdfs localhost 8020. So there's a basic configuration. We should be good with that. The third one is mapred site. Mapred site.xml. Put a property here. Name, add a name which is mapred.job.tracker. Add a name and put the value as localhost 8021. So that's it with our configuration settings. So let's move on to step 8 and make changes to etc hosts. Execute if config. Okay. Let me log in as root. If config. So let's pick this IP. Go into etc hosts. Let me comment this out and put my IP address here, and I can say localhost or Ubuntu. So we are almost done with the setups. Let's log in back as Hadoop user. Go to the bin of Hadoop, then let's execute. Let's format the name node. Hadoop name node hyphen format. Okay, so looks like one of the locations is formatted, which is temp Hadoop. So because we have not specified any location for a format, it has chosen a default location in temp. So let's start our servers. I'm going to say start all. So because we had an issue with passwordless SSH setup, is going to ask the password for each and every daemon. So here you can see that my secondary node is up, name node is up, data node is up, and I don't see my job tracker and task tracker. Let's try to start them. To daemon.sh and say start job tracker JPS. Okay, so looks like there is a problem with the task tracker. Let's stop all of the services, then we'll try to fix that. Stop all. So if you set up passwordless SSH correctly, it will not ask for password for each and every operation. So that is why we require passwordless SSH. Okay, so let's check if any processor running. Nothing. So let's go to the logs. So where's our job tracker? Open this one. Okay, let me go down. Okay, so it says bad element, not bad config file, element not property. Let me quickly go back and try to fix that error. So back to conf, vi mapred site.xml. Okay, I put it mistakenly here. This is correct. Let's go back to bin, start all. Either you can say start all, or you can call Hadoop daemon.sh and you can say start name node or start secondary name node, or you can say start job tracker or start data node, or you can say start task tracker, right? So all the steps will start all the daemons one by one, but if you want to start everything at once, execute start all.sh. So I'm going to give the password because of an issue with the passwordless SSH setup. Okay, so now you can see all my daemons are up and running on Ubuntu. So you can see job tracker, task tracker, name node, secondary name node, data node. So we have successfully completed step 9. Let's quickly execute some of the Hadoop commands and see if everything is fine. Hadoop fs-ls. Okay. Hadoop. Let me execute my bash rc. Okay, let me fine-tune the bash rc. Okay, so here you can see that I have not added these paths to the existing path variable. That's one reason why system is not able to find the commands. bin colon $java home /bin colon $path, and I'll say export $path, re-execute this. Okay, so let me remove this for the time being. Okay, so looks like there's an issue with this. So let me just remove it and see if this works. Okay. Okay, so looks like there is some existing issue with the path, which I'm going to correct later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say into cat bash rc export Hadoop home and export $path Hadoop home /bin $path. Oops. Okay, so we can leave it here. I'm going to correct it later. Let me do a cd to my symlink of Hadoop. I'm going to go to bin, going to execute Hadoop fs-ls cannot access dot. Okay, okay, so let me quickly see the state of my name node. $50070. Okay, so you can see that my name node is up and configured with 18.58 gigs of capacity, storage capacity, and live nodes are 1. There are no dead nodes, no decommissioned nodes. Let me browse the file system. Okay, so that is fine. Let me localhost 50070. So my name node URL is up. Let me quickly check the URL of my MapReduce, which is 50030. So my MapReduce URL is up. So if you want to stop all the daemons, let's go back to the shell. You can say stop all.sh. So again, it's going to ask for a password because my passwordless SSH was not properly set up. Password so task tracker is down, data node is down, secondary name node is down. Let's execute JPS and see there's nothing up and running. So we have completed all the step till the step 11. I hope you had enjoyed my video. Thank you all. We'll meet again in the next video. Bye.